Cyberport launched the Cyberport Academy this year to address upcoming demand for technology talent and to cater to Hong Kong's development strategies. The Academy will offer an open platform to engage top technology, private and academic institutions, and to provide quality tech and entrepreneurial training to youth and industry practitioners from different sectors. Cyberport's goals are to pass on and democratize tech knowledge, connect academic institutions, professional bodies, and enterprises, offer development opportunities for tech talent, and enrich and expand Hong Kong's tech talent pool to support the city's long-term economic growth. The Cyberport Academy will also consolidate and enhance Cyberport's existing talent training and development programs, introduce new initiatives, and strengthen Hong Kong's role as an international innovation and technology hub. Up next, we'll have Mr. Perkins Ho, Senior Business Development Manager, Hong Kong and Taiwan Strategic Programs, and Ms. Fiona Ju, Senior Consultant, Global Specialist Practice from Amazon Web Services, to share with us info session, Cyberport Academy, one-day workshop of learning the Amazon way of innovation. The session will be moderated by Ms. Catherine Lam, Manager, Tech Education and Training of Cyberport. So, over to you, Catherine.
Okay. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm Catherine Lam, Managing Tech Education and Training of Cyberport. Welcome to join this webinar, which is brought to you by Cyberport Academy. About today's topic, it targets those people who have a keen interest in entrepreneurship and are looking to find an innovative way to address these two questions. The first one is on how to satisfy customers effectively and successfully with what they need, and how to maximize the ROI with limited time to visualize concepts, test assumptions, gauge demand, and validate business models. Cyberport technology partner, Amazon Web Services, AWS, now providing over 175 service products over the world. They use their distinctive way to do innovation. How do we innovate like Amazon? Today, we are glad to invite two speakers from AWS Professional Services to share the secret sauce of Amazon's way of innovation. They are Ms. Fiona Ju, Senior Consultant Global Specialty Practices of AWS Professional Services. Fiona's role with AWS is responsible for sharing the best practices in operations with customers and partners, as well as building mechanisms for iterative improvements. Another speaker, Mr. Perkins Ho, Senior Business Development Manager of Hong Kong and Taiwan Strategic Programs of AWS. Perkins is responsible for driving Joint Innovation Center initiative in Hong Kong to provide a total solution for the government to implement innovation strategies on startup incubation, industry digital transformation, talent development education, and international program. If you have any questions to Fiona and Perkins, please feel free to post your questions at the chat room. Later, we will have Q&A session and also some special offer to you. So stay tuned. Without further ado, I would pass the time to Fiona and Perkins. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thanks for the opportunities to speak in the event with Cyberport. So my name is Fiona. The following sessions, I myself and Perkins will be presenting you AWS Innovation Workshop, which is we call the Customer Innovation Workshops in Context. Next, please. So I would like to start with Perkins. If you would like to share with us some of your story first about what's your past experience in innovating your own business as well as helping other customers. Can I please start with you?
Okay, thank you, Catherine and Fiona, for the introduction. My name is Perkins. I'm from AWS, responsible for driving some innovation development initiatives with the government. I know we have quite a lot of entrepreneurs here today, so let me share a story of a startup first. I think it's around 12 years ago. There were a bunch of young people like you all sitting together in the same room, chit chatting, and all of a sudden they came up with an idea and they find it very sexy. So in the following few weeks, they decided to validate the idea from friends and family, and they asked them a few questions basically. And the three questions are: the first one is, do you like traveling? I mean, this is a sad topic to touch upon this year apparently. And the second question they ask is, do you find trip planning very painful? And the third question they asked was, do you want to get the most out of your short trip? In other words, do you want to have the most fun out of your trip? Apparently, the questions to all these three questions were the obvious yes. So they decided to go with this idea to build the first of its kind online trip planning plus social platform in Hong Kong. So just imagine that you can get the most updated travel information on one platform, and someone can coordinate trip planning for everybody online, saving all the hassles for everybody. And the final product is going to be an optimized plan. A plan, say, one day in Tokyo, packed with restaurants, famous restaurants, museums, shops, and park visits according to the most updated opening hours. And you can bring this personalized itinerary with you with your mobile. It sounds cool, and they went well with fundraising from friends, family, and even from the government. And they got admitted to Science Park, and they developed the products for 2 years, and it was launched. Unfortunately, after the launch day for a few months, there were no users. There were absolutely no business. So what went wrong? So where were all the users whom they had initially contact with in the first place and who claimed that they would love and use the product? Now I can share this story with you is because I was one of the co-founders of that startup. I mean, apparently the whole customer discovery journey was not quite right. I mean, we did ask the questions from the true potential customers, and they did answer us, but something was missing. We were not addressing the real pain point of the problem. Take one example in trip planning. When you plan for a family trip, do you really think your kids, wife, or your parents are going to go into all those nitty gritties? No, most likely they would just give you a command. Make sure this is a fun family trip. So the collaboration part breaks down in this case. And in terms of optimization, a lot of the time when we travel, we care more about the people that we travel with. We want to relax or chill and plan on the fly. A lot of time we don't really care much whether we can pack as many activities as possible in one day. So this is the end of this story. I'm sure many of you have gone through that or gone through this process in your entrepreneurship journey. It might sound hard selling, but if I had known the process in AWS before, in how to approach innovation development systematically, my journey might be so much different. And I wouldn't claim that this is the best form of innovation, nor if it is the perfect one, but this is how Amazon has innovated for many years. And we are happy to share. So, Fiona, please.
Thank you, Perkins. Next, please. I'm so glad that you're not ashamed to share with us some of your electric experiments. I'm sure you have more stories to share with others. So I look forward to it as well. So next, please. And that's true that we hear a lot of customers, they have a lot of ideas like Perkins, right? Some of the electric experiments and travel kind of business. But something we always hear, how do I innovate like Amazon? You know, what is the success ingredients around within Amazon that they can innovate so successfully? I would actually, next please, Kathy. I would actually like to start with, giving a context and some of the background about Amazon, how does it innovate in the kind of history? And there are two aspects. So first, I want to start with our mission. So our mission is all about, we wanted to be the world's most customer-centric company It's very important. We not start with something around the solution. We start with the customers. So this mission is very broad. Okay, it is no restrictions. It's not something restrict into a market, an industrial, a particular solution or domain. It's no defined kind of like boundary. It's all about customer-centric company. It gives us a way beyond where we can do. It's all about what the customer need and what the customer wants. So as you can, some of the examples how Amazon innovate in the past. So as all you may know, we start off with a bookshop. And then we kind of started innovating, knowing the markets, the retail space about Amazon Go. And then we also drive through the delivery kind of purposes. So Prime. And we drive a lot of different other innovations out of our expectations, like the Kindles, right? And also Alexa, as from the device perspective. There are a lot more and a lot that will coming. So where does innovation begins? And there's another context I would like to share as well in this with the audience as well. So the key ingredient, as just to recap and highlight, we take customer-centric approach to innovations. Okay, we started with driving deep enough to understand the customer. It's not enough. We're not just knowing what the customer needs. We need to apply some of our factions, some of the processes, and other ingredient I would like to highlight here as well. We work backwards. So I will be also introduce what does mean by working backwards within Amazon. This is one of the key process, how we innovate, starting from beginning and driving throughout when they bring the products or solutions that's really delighting the customers. Okay, so next please, Kathy. So from Amazon, from our perspective, we had that learning experience. We actually decided a program called Customer Innovation Program. And this program is all around a mechanism to help the customer, including startups, enterprise, to at-scale approach to innovate on behalf of your customers, and how does it innovate in acceleration fashions. So the approach is actually come across with a training, enablement, and exercise as well. So with the context of the program, there are different levels, and also it covers different kind of aspects. And there are 3 levels listed here. Level 1 is it's all around how do we delight our customer? How do we actually driving an innovation from a customer perspective and work backwards from your innovation idea? And second level is, of course, making it validations and also how that experimental exercise and process being defined. And third, we wanted to be continue innovate, especially one of the examples that shared from Perkins. If this is a successful product, how do we continue innovate? We actually wanted to become a product leader so that we be able to continue listen to the customer and able to kind of drive continues together with the customer. So next, please. And this program, we call CIP program, in fact, is addressing the following 3 areas. First, we want to take this program with this chance to work with and also to introduce our innovation process for the customer to be able to innovate at scale by introducing a common framework for innovation. Second, we want to make the innovations as part of your job. It's not something a task to do, like us, for us within AWS. Part of the principle within us, within all our employees, we all leader. We all needed to drive something. So same thing, the same mechanism and same principle. We love to be through this CIP program, and also share with our customer how the innovation be part of your kind of daily life, not really extra working job. And third, and this innovation is not within yourself and your team. It's at scale across your organization. We need your customer to help feedback and as well as to innovate together. So that's what we call innovate on behalf of your customer, and they are part of the innovation as well. Thank you. Next, please. And together with Cyberport, we've actually designed it and as well as to prepare this CIP workshop together. I would like to introduce this workshop structure with the audience here. This is the one-day workshop, and the workshop outcome is all about how do we, as Amazon AWS, to teach and share with our customers and learn how to develop your innovation idea from your customer-centric perspective. And how does it identify your customer needs and more importantly, validate, iterate through your experience. This is one of the key approach. And second, and how does it make your idea become a solution concept and put it in a structured manner that you can at scale to develop and be built along with your customer. And third outcome is another, which is the early ingredient of the innovation within Amazon, and the way of Amazon's working backward process. That includes number of processes and mechanisms, which includes the mechanism of knowing your customer, working backward what they need, and start developing your prospect, your solution, as well as identify any blocker and as well as validating the outcomes. And within it, there are more mechanisms and process will be being introduced. For example, terminology of two-piece team. How do we establish your innovation team? When you in your design, how would you have a concept of two-way door, and as well as developing the we call it the press release and FAQ to understand what your customer exactly want, what they're preparing to ask. Do we know enough when we are publishing these products or solutions? And so this is also part of the outcomes. And for the skill acquired, and as mentioned, working backward process is one of the elements that we would like to share and teach with the audience. And they are learning toolkits for the innovations. As earlier mentioned, how do we actually start to develop some of the PR FAQ mechanisms and toolkits, and learning how to develop what we call experiential-based development. And in terms of the high-level curriculum, so it's mixture of theory and also group exercise and activities as well. So throughout that one day workshop, so we're going through a number of areas, and more importantly, when we're going through into that working backward process, there are 5 whys mechanism we're going to share and teach with and learn with our and our group members within the workshop, and start developing, understanding those 5 why, and confirming and validating the solutions ahead, and as well as the challenges ahead. For the prerequisite, it isn't any that is required to be able to register and attend, but there are lots of online learning and share material. Perhaps in the next slide, please, Catherine. Yes. So the workshop itself does not require prerequisite, but as a next step, we do highly recommend to for the audience here to also look out and read out one of the we call it shareholder letters from 1997, Jeff Bezos, which is our Amazon CEO. It writes an annual shareholder letter, the topics, the structures, and how the way we address the customers in content, how we actually stay customer obsessions building the product, and more. So this is one of the great examples that we love to share, and they are available online as well. And I guess for the next steps, and I would love to kind of open up the floor for any questions. But prior to that, in terms of the workshop registrations, Catherine will share later on where and how to register. We call it the CIW, the Customer Innovation Workshop, for the contact and also the registrations link. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Yep. And I think you would like to introduce the Awesome Day as well.
Yes, thank you very much. And also upcoming on the November, the 6th of November, we have the online conference. We call Awesome Date. So it's an online event. We encourage anyone who is interested to know more about AWS, not just about the innovation as well as our services, the way how we work with the customer and some of the online solutions and services. Please feel free. You can also register, and also they are available. The registration are also available online. It's happening on the 6th of November. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Fiona and Perkin. And I received some questions from the audience. And the first question is, what is the difference between AWS way of innovation and design thinking? Can you share a little bit on this?
Sure. Okay, it's actually a very great question. For Amazon, we call the Customer Innovation Program or the workshop. It isn't just focused on the solution-based approach to resolve problems. As earlier mentioned, this innovation program is a mechanism to help our customer how to scale the innovation across the multiple teams. And we focus on the 4 interdependent elements upon the processes within Amazon's experience. So first, it's about the architecture. So it also creates how to structure the support rapidly about the changes and growth. So it also covers, there are some ingredients or terminology called 2 is better than 0. So how do we rapidly build the capability, and it may run in parallel. So this is part of one of the mechanisms we do. And there are other focuses like organizations. How do we establish and empower the team within the innovations processes, like what we call the 2Ps team, be able to making the decision faster and also developed on behalf of the customers and releasing to the market in a shortened fractions for the recycle as well. And we touched on the mechanism earlier. So there are Amazon DNA's processes mechanism, like working backward mechanism, like DR FAQ is also part of the innovations workshops where we wanted to kind of share and teach with our customer. And culture is another area. As earlier mentioned, we not only wanted to focus on the solution-based approach in resolving problem. Culture is important. How do we empower team? How do we engage the customer? How do we leading the principle to have the innovation in mind every day, and starting off with the experimental processes. And work with the customer to build out what we call the 2-way door mechanism as well. So I know there's a lot of kind of elements there, but that hopefully that also started to help our audience to understand more about way of innovation within Amazon.
Thank you, Fiona. And thank you. And we also get another questions about the customer innovation workshop. And they want to know how to register and when is the next training schedule. And actually, we are working with AWS professional service team to have the workshop in December. You can choose the 3rd of December, which will be conducted in English. And on 4th of December, there will have another one-day workshop in Cantonese, and the training materials will be in English. And also we got another questions from the audience about will this thinking methodology be applicable to tech startups?
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
that's another great question. The response, yes, definitely. I guess earlier mentioned these programs is suitable for the customer regardless whether that's startups or enterprise. Particularly for startups, they are looking out for some of the mechanism and some of the practice movement methodologies so that they can accelerate the pace of innovations and move to the executions phases as well, which also helps our startups, tech startups, to have the customer-centric thinking. Okay, thinking from the customer perspective, what they need, and effectively work across, maybe starting off with a small team, and scale out across throughout the organization. And more importantly, we also established within AWS and Amazon, we have the ecosystem established. It's also helping a group of tech startups to have the sharing platform and also leverage some of the ecosystem's capability to accelerate the components as well. So that's how we call innovate big and small and leverage with the ecosystem that's been well established. Thank you.
Thank you,
Catherine.
Yeah.
Maybe I can say a few words from the perspective of entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
I think as an entrepreneur, we never rely on one single tool. So just treat it as one of the tools that you can pick as your weapon to drive your business, to build your business, to build your startup, right? And apparently, I mean, in AWS, we call it every day is day one in Amazon history, a culture. So we treat ourselves working as in a startup. So I think it is important as an entrepreneur to understand how we Amazonians in Amazon, how do we innovate every day as if we are working in a startup. So this is something important to know. And the second thing is, like what I mentioned in my story that I shared earlier, there are, I mean, in the Amazonian way to approach innovation, there are some systematic way to do that. Sometimes we tend to have the tendency to skip one or two steps. But as an entrepreneur myself who had failed in some startups before, we know that I can tell you right now that we shouldn't skip any of those steps. I mean, we don't need to do too much, but there are steps that we cannot skip to understand our clients, to understand the market. So I think this is important that we go through this process. This is something I want to share.
Thank you, Perkins. Thank you very much. And today we have a special offer to all the audience. If you scan the QR code to register and enter the discount code Cyberport, then you can get a 10% off discount. If you are our incubatee, you can just enter the discount code incubatee. You can get a 50% off to join the AWS Customer Innovation Workshop. So be careful that the Cyberport C letter should be in capital letter, and also for incubatee, the code, the I should be in capital letter too. So don't miss this chance, and to join us at the workshop in December to learn more from Fiona and also Perkins. Thank you very much, Perkins and Fiona, for your sharing. And I will leave the screen for 2 minutes for you to do the registration. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at training@cyberport.hk email address. I would like to hope to see you in the workshop. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye-bye.